Hello, everyone. Happy Monday. Thank you so much for joining us. Sickle cell disease affects approximately 100,000 Americans, with 1 in 365 Black or African American births impacted by this inherited blood disorder. This chronic condition causes immense pain and complications and significantly reducing life expectancy and quality of life for those affected. While treatment have improved over the years, there's growing interest in exploring new avenues to manage sickle cell disease more effectively. So one promising area of research is the connection between sickle cell disease and gut health. And recent studies have revealed that intriguing links between the gut microbiome and the various aspects of sickle cell disease, including pain management and overall well-being. So understanding this relationship could potentially open up new therapeutic approaches and improve outcome for patients. And that's why we're so glad to chat on IG Live today with Dr. Charlie Ware, a holistic health expert and with expertise in gut health and sickle cell. So during this live, we are going to discuss symptoms of sickle cell disease, the role of genetics in sickle cell, how your gut plays a role in your health, and so much more.
Hello, sorry about that.
You actually joined early, and I was like going through my bio and going through the introduction, and I was like, okay, he already joined. Thank you so much for taking the time.
It's my pleasure. My pleasure. How are you doing today?
Good. How are you?
I'm well, thank you.
Okay, before we start, tell us a little bit about yourself, like how you became a sickle cell and gut health expert.
Awesome. Yeah. Actually, I carry sickle cell beta thalassemia myself. I'm a patient myself. That's what actually even got me into the whole medical field as well. And gut health. Gut health. Realistically, when I started to work on myself, my family, and of course other patients, I found that once we got the gut right, everything else just made sense. So when I started to do more, microbiome studies and even genetic and epigenetic studies, we're able to just go deeper into what the gut sort of held, knowing that our hormones, our brain neurotransmitters, so many different things are involved in our gut. I just, sort of like held my head there, and sickle cell and gut health are just my passions now.
Is that the reason why you put such emphasis on gut health in your content and also patient care?
Of course, definitely, definitely. I mean, and I like to call myself the minimalistic doctor as well. And I tell that, I tell patients all the time. You know, I get people who come to me and they want so many different things, and I'm like, just keep things very simple. Just keep things very, very simple. And we notice that the more we keep the gut simple, the faster the healing actually takes place as well.
That makes so much sense, and also keeping the focus can help people heal faster and more effectively.
Exactly. Definitely. Definitely. I mean, I think the more I say things we take, the least amount of healing that could be measured in a very specific amount of time. I think a lot of my patients are surprised when I take them off of probiotics and different supplements for the gut. And when I have to go back and explain to them, I say, listen, most probiotics are 1 to 4 strands, the very most. And yeah, we know there's about maybe 6 to 7 strands out there that are manufactured, but the gut has over 700 different strains of bacteria that we have to balance and have this great harmonious thing to sort of go on. And just by overtaking maybe 2 or 3 of these things can actually, overcompensate and have other issues. So again, we keep things very, very simple and seeing really great results, short term and also long term in our patients.
I love it. Okay, let's get into it. So, what are some tips for optimizing your gut?
Well, for me, honestly, the first thing I would tell people, the cheapest way you can optimize your gut sleep. The more we rest and allow our bodies to really get their rest and digest aspect in, the faster our guts are going to be able to heal themselves. Most individuals don't even realize that we need truly 9 to 10 hours of sleep per night in order for our gut to really, I say, rest, digest, and also produce the different amino acids and hormones that it needs to for our whole body health. So once we allow ourselves to really get that good night's sleep consistently, we see that the bloating, the undigested food, the even the dysbiosis that actually occurs without even doing anything is really healing itself.
Oh, wow. 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 I'm guilty of that. Like not like having like a 9 to 10 hour sleep. I think it must be really hard for a lot of people.
It is, and the example I usually give is this right here. I'm like, is it more important for you to continue to be on that same hamster wheel, or more important for you to get that project done when you're not feeling well? And I usually have a lot of high wealth individuals that come see me, and the first thing I would say, like, listen, I don't care how much money you have, I don't care, your CEO or whatever, you're not well, so let's pull everything back and sort of redirect what it is you're doing. And it is really prioritizing sleep and even taking naps. I mean, I have a stand up desk, it's sort of rocking back and forth. I have a balance where I'm on all day. But my stand-up desk, I have a hammock underneath, and usually this is my nap time. I try to take, 10 to 15 minutes a day just to recharge myself. And I noticed by doing that, my body is able to rest, digest, and reset itself just a little bit more. Even genetically, we can even look at individuals and how much sleep they should get genetically. And there's a few individuals that have a variant that allows them to get 6 to 7 hours, and that's optimal sleep for them. But what we noticed long term was most individuals truly need anywhere from 8 to 10 hours of sleep to have that good sweet spot.
Mm. That makes so much sense. So does poor gut health exacerbate conditions, including the one we're talking about today, like the sickle cell disease?
Of course. I mean, poor gut health is actually any disease out there, because if easy way to look at it. If you're driving a car and you have, I mean, I always ask my patients, "What's your favorite car?" Listen, oh well, I'll say, "Well, what kind of car you drive?" But you go to the gas station right, and this is before the EV craze. If you go to the gas station right now and you put diesel inside of your car, how well would that car run? Over a period of time, even a week, that car's gonna start to break down. Now imagine what we're doing with all of our food right now. We're not eating real food. The sad diet, the standard American diet, is really the worst diet out there in the entire planet. I'll be quite honest with you. Almost in any culture we've introduced the sad diet to, that culture has actually diminished their health status. So I always tell individuals, the more we can actually improve our gut health, um, any condition is going to able to be not completely healed, but have a fighting chance first and foremost.
That makes so much sense. So today we're also talking about sickle cell disease for those who don't know what it is. So what exactly is sickle cell disease?
Man, sickle cell disease it's been redefined even with myself. I just give a quick backstory. Growing up, I was told I had sickle cell trait, which is like just having a variance of the what we call the full blown or the SS gene. I have AS. So when I was younger, oh, yes, have a trait. There's no research that saying trait individuals actually can have crisis and things of that sort. And I'll explain what that basically means. So with sickle cell disease, we don't have the proper proteins that actually have the arms to hold onto the oxygen molecule in the red blood cell. And that's why it's called a sickle, because the actual red blood cell molecule is not nice and puffy and have a concave so it can hold onto the molecule. Is actually sickled, is actually flat in fat. So what happens is individuals that have this condition, this genetic condition you're born with, you can't acquire it later in life. You're born with it. Those broken cells or those flat cells actually clog up the veins and arteries. It can cause, we call a crisis, pain crisis, or it can cause organ failure, eye damage. It can cause almost anything. And also cause necrosis of the actual bones and joints and things of that sort. And the unfortunate thing is that there are not really any medications out there for it. And I say that with a caveat. There have been two medications for sickle cell disease put off the market just 45 days ago because the results were not promising. Yes, unfortunately, the results were not promising, and the clinical studies were just completely all thrown off. The one medication that's been around for about 25, 30 years is something called hydroxyurea. It's actually a cancer medication that's been able to show it increases the fetal hemoglobin in individuals. And by doing that, there's a possibility of having individuals not have as many crises as not as many organ failures and damages and things of that sort. There's a lot of genetic work going on right now with sickle cell disease. However, that's still, in my opinion, of my colleagues' opinions, at least 15, 20 years away from being something that's viable. We have a few individuals who are doing it, but it's not anything that's viable right now.
Yeah. So you mentioned it's all genetics you acquired from your parents. So in your practice, do you see like patients dealing with guilt over their children having sickle cell disease? So like, what do you recommend to them?
That is an amazing question that you use that term guilt. And that's why I largely see. I see guilt, I see fear, I see shame, tons of anxiety, and unfortunately, a lot of shaming that sort of goes on in other cultures. In other cultures outside the United States, I'll even say here, because I had a patient recently ask me to take down something of their kid because they didn't want anyone else to know that their kid has sickle cell disease. Even here today, BPH, yeah. In other cultures, I mean, I hear of people dying of sickle cell disease and being buried in the backyard, like hidden away from everyone else. Yes, in some cultures, if you're diagnosed with sickle cell disease, is more of a demonic thing, like something happened in your family line that causes this to happen. So the stigma of sickle cell disease, even in 2024, still have to change. And the reason why I mentioned fear, a lot of times what happens is we hear this diagnosis. Your child have sickle cell or even a trait, and the parents are given this death, speech is what I call. Well, you expect, pain, expect hospitalization, expect not having a great quality of life, expect all these things. The first thing I always tell patients, I say, well, was it the fear that sort of got you into this issue, or was it the fact that you didn't have the proper information to understand what sort of goes on? Because to me, it's like any other condition, back to the gut. I'm like, if we can control the gut, the way the body creates inflammation, it's not going to just happen. Sickle cell disease just doesn't. I'm gonna have a crisis today. The body just doesn't break down. It's very, very specific signs and symptoms that happen before this occurs that we can actually start to plan out and also be able to predict long term or short term.
So really taking a proactive, preventative approach so then you can better manage it and then so you don't have to fear, yeah, sure, these things can happen, but you can really manage it.
Yes, exactly, exactly. And that's sort of the reason why I even brought myself up because I played professional baseball, I fought mixed martial arts, I've traveled the world, I've done many different crazy things, and when I was told that I had sickle cell disease or the trait originally, I was told I couldn't play sports. So that was crazy. Then and then go through medical school and also then doing natural medical school, I had a really, really bad crisis. No one can actually figure out how to treat me. So that's why I started to treat myself. And then when I started to learn, wait a minute, I'm surfing, I'm doing mountain climbing, I'm doing all these crazy things, and I'm not in pain. I was only in pain, really, really stressed out. When I was stressed out, I would have. So I had to learn how to do stress management. I had to learn how to do all these things to keep myself healthy. So and then it came to me, if I was able to do this for myself, how like, and I found bodybuilders. I found football players. I found American football players. So I don't call soccer football. I don't call football soccer. Football is football. And then I found a lot of American football players. I found rugby players that all had sickle cell, and we're doing beautifully. And then we start to have these conversations. Like, hey, like, what are you doing? Well, I'm moving my body every day. I'm taking supplements. I'm doing all these things, and we start to have this camaraderie around just getting well and staying well. Short term, also long term.
I love it. I love it. And you're like the perfect living example of that to show it to your patients that manages.
Yeah, it's funny because I have patients that flying from all over the world, which I always tell people, I'm like, don't fly. This is how much telehealth. It is cool. And I mean, and they look at me like, how old are you? I'm like, I'm over 50 years old. They're like, really? I'm like, yes, I'm 50 years old.
No, I cannot tell. Oh my God.
Yes, yes, I am. I am.
No way.
Yes, I am.
Wow. Okay. Okay. Yeah. That even a better living example.
I try. I mean, and to be honest with you, back to the gut, back to stress management, making sure that I, as my sleep is so early important. It's always funny because my kids always call me fat, which I'm of course I'm not fat. You fat looking, where you even dead bod now. I'm like, yes, I do. Thank you so much. I'm a dead. But it is all mediated around being able to understand and educate myself and my patients about their body. Like, how can we sit down one on one and have you understand? Yes, I'm gonna run a bunch of tests on. I'm gonna do the microbiome. I'm gonna do some gut stuff. I'm gonna do CBC, CMP. I'm gonna do all that stuff on you. But what does all these numbers really mean? Like, what's your goal? And also, how can we take these numbers right here and also elongate these for you can be so you can be incredibly healthy, not just surviving but really thriving in all these markers. Yeah.
But I also feel like every tip that we've discussed so far, these strategies, it will apply not just for people with sickle cell, right? It applies to everyone. Your stress management and keeping a healthy gut and making sure you have enough sleep and as we can see, you're like aging extremely well for anyone who's into longevity, which is everybody's into, have a higher quality of life and everything that they should be paying attention on all these aspects.
Yeah,
So
definitely. Definitely. It's probably because a few years ago, myself and a group of friends of mine, we were a book called A Coda Long Check. And my portion of that was showing how bioactive nutrients, really help elongate your life. It was some beautiful research I was finding that, individuals that were on very static diets, like, say for instance, they're just, doing all carnivorous things, just eating meat and a few root veggies here and there, their brain was actually smaller. And individuals that, lived around the rivers and the sea that had more diverse, the fish, plant life, things of that sort, brain actually got larger and became more intelligent. It also shows that, women who feed their or have a lot of vitamin D, a lot of zinc, a lot of iron, not iron, a lot of zinc and vitamin K supplements in their diet, their kids actually have a higher IQ as well. So this stuff really, really does matter as far as like even dietary wise. So I mean, it's really a matter of how you look at it and what you really want to do with information. Um, and again, I have the blue light blocking glasses on you. You see sun and sun of the body and all that stuff really matters.
I love it. So I'm gonna continue with more questions around sickle cell. We have to invite you back for like a whole other talk about longevity. But like today we'll stick with some focus. So why are blacks and African Americans at higher or like greater risk of having sickle cell disease?
And when I hear that question, I always get that question. I'm like, well, historically, if you look at it, it was because of the malaria written areas. However, research came out. It was just last year, in the beginning of this year. Sorry, it's towards the end of this year. Beginning of this year, research came out that sickle cell disease across the entire globe has increased anywhere from 15 to 60% in populations. So I mean, whether it be Asian countries, whether it be Middle East, Africa, United States, Europe, is increased across the board. Now, why is and actually, I'll be honest with you, is actually increasing amongst other populations out of that. I'm like, right. I mean, my first true patients I had with sickle cell disease were four siblings. They all had either sickle cell SS or SC sort. They were Italian. Yeah. So the whole thing that sickle cell disease, the black disease, is totally thrown out the window. I actually I do way too much. I actually produce sickle cell rapid testing kits for other countries to make sure that we get tested. So I have some here in the office, and I occasionally will hear symptoms from someone. I'm like, listen, you mind if I do a sickle cell test on you just to see? And with my testing, we were able to see the AS, the SC, the SS, and also thalassemia. And I found several European descent individuals. I found a lot of Latin individuals actually now are carrying the gene or have SC or even SS. Yes, it's really something that I try to open everyone's eyes about. It is not a situation. Even the population size of 100,000 individuals in the United States. That stat is actually 20 years old. It has 20 years. You know, yeah. Yeah, I'm like, I live in South Florida, and I can tell you probably 25 to 30,000 sickle cell patients just in the Tri-County area. That many. Oh yeah,
Oh wow.
it's a lot. It's a lot. So that's why, when we combine all of the most popular cities, the LA, the Houston, and Dallas, the Atlanta here, and different areas, I'm like, well, we know that there's more than 10,000 individuals.
He has not millions just in the US and not globally, and especially considering it's affecting other ethnicities and it, wow. Wow.
Yeah. Oh yeah, definitely, definitely. I had this young lady. Even though it's thalassemia, I tell individuals sickle cell and thalassemia are close cousins. And the funny thing was, again, she's a white lady, and she's like, I have thalassemia. I'm like, I know you do. I got the test back, and she was like, oh my gosh, what do I do with this? I'm like, nothing much. I got you. So her longer periods, all the symptoms that she was having. I'm like, we can now do something about this because it's not a hormone thing. Is more so really your blood isn't being friendly right now. Let's get your blood friendly, then food and nutrients friendly, and move on from there.
Yeah. Because you mentioned like one of the symptoms for sickle cell is pain.
Yes.
So what are other symptoms of sickle cell disease?
Yeah, I mean, vision issues, fatigue, lassitude, low weight, in some individual can be confusion because there's not enough oxygen going to the brain. Organelle increase in size. I myself I have a large heart and also a large statement as organ in the liver as well. Also, joint pain, meaning like the joints can also just be chronically inflamed. Also, organelle loss, usually gallbladder and also spleen. And like I said, the courses of the actual body itself. With women, it can be missed periods or not having a period at all. It can be infertility. With males, usually males have more issues than females. And the unfortunate part is we usually see more females get treated than males. So yeah, back to the whole I'm a man, I don't need any help type thing. Just
Wow. That's like a pretty significant symptom that can really impact someone's like a quality of life.
yes. The unfortunate thing is most individuals that have been diagnosed with SS, a lot of them actually are on disability, because they're unpredictable when a pain crisis will happen. So they will always say, "Well, I can't work," or "they're very limited part-time work," and things of that sort. That's the reason why I like to create the different programs I have to show that you can have a full life. I have doctors, I have attorneys that come through my program, and I treated since they were in high school and college, and it was great.
Right. So it makes so much sense then for people to really understand their like triggers, right? Because you
Mhm.
mentioned like the managing. So what are some like common triggers for these like flare up?
Infections, first and foremost, are a constant flare up. Colds, and flus, like a viral infection, or even a bacterial infection. Malarial infections, unfortunately, even though someone may have sickle cell disease, they still catch malaria pretty easily. Temperature changes, is something that really affect individuals. With going from that cold to hot, deconstriction, or dilation of the blood vessels over and over again can really cause someone to go into crisis. Diet, lack of sleep, also stress. That's those basic things as well. But also dehydration is something that really affects a lot of individuals too.
So you kind of answered my next question is because I was going to ask you like what are the some things that you should do daily to help maintain your wellness while having sickle cell disease. So stress management, getting enough sleep, having a good diet.
Yes.
Anything else?
Hydration. Because again, not having enough blood, having chronic anemia is also part of the sickle cell, journey as well. So being able to make sure someone has enough, good water. When say good water, people always say, "Well, I drink a lot of water." Well, most water we drink doesn't have the proper nutrition inside of, because if you go to the spring and get the water out of a spring and you measure all the nutrients, you're gonna have almost every trace mineral you need. So I always tell individuals, make sure you put in trace minerals in your water, or drink a herbal tea, or put some sort of like lime or lemon inside your water just to get some more electrolytes inside the water. That's what the body really needs and uses to have these enzymatic processes to ensure that you have proper immunity as well as the proper blood circulation.
We have someone just mentioned that I would add having Dr. Ware as your sickle cell coach, in addition to all these other tips.
Thank you for I didn't pay that person.
Oh, I know. You had a really great post about potential breakthroughs in sickle cell care. So please, like, share with us some of that.
Oh, definitely. I mean, I alluded to it earlier. I mean, I do love the genetic work. I'm a nerd. I read genetic magazines or journals every day. I mean, to be honest with you, I think that's how I miss my sleep a lot. Is if I'm just reading journals. So, well, I'll be honest with you. But yeah, it's a lot of great research coming through genetically. Is really about making sure these treatments are going to be affordable for those individuals. But also the other thing that I found fascinating when I really start to do more research outside of the research I do is we were finding that there was some studies done with communities like sickle cell individuals being in different communities really support each other. A lot of this research was not even here in the U.S. It was done either in Kenya, Saudi Arabia, but also Nigeria as well. The Middle East, you'll be surprised how many Middle Eastern individuals with sickle cell and or thalassemia as well. Is the numbers are staggering. But we found with individuals that were in communities, their rate of hospitalizations, pain crisis, it dramatically dropped by 60 to 75%. That much, because it's about accountability. It's about saying, hey, this is what I'm doing. I'm being successful. Let's do the same thing so we can have now, a like-mindedness, and we will grow together as well. And just by doing that, we're finding people really are just doing phenomenal. I think the more that we are looking at these breakthroughs through medicine is going to be phenomenal what we see. Um, but at the same token, what can we do right here, right now, to alleviate the possibility of having another crisis? And I think by again having conversations around it and being very open, what's working, what's not really working. Something I forgot to even say was most babies when they're diagnosed with sickle cell disease for the first 3 to 5 years of their life, they're put on a prophylactic antibiotic, which it kills and pastes. Yeah, prevent state, yes, it kills the gut. So this is another reason why, and what we find is that individuals that have a gut dysbiosis, um, they're more likely not to have proper oxygen in their system. What that basically means that they're hypoxic already. So these kids don't have the proper gut microbiome to even produce other hormones or even other nutrients. How can we expect them to really thrive? So I've done thousands of GI mapping of kids with sickle cell disease and also just regular individuals. And I can always tell, always tell, individuals that have been on the penicillin and things of that sort and the ones who haven't. And again, this is not me saying not to take this stuff. I'm not this is only educational purposes. But there has to be different ways for us to do the treatment versus killing off the entire microbiome. And then when these kids get a cold or a flu, everyone's panicking. They're panicking. So yeah,
It make it make it makes so much sense because otherwise, if they're on antibiotic from the very beginning, they're kind of like on that hamster wheel. You just mentioned people not getting less sleep, but even worse for these kids because then the gut never heal, and then they keep having flares, and then they're getting more antibiotics. Then it just this vicious cycle going around and around.
exactly. Exactly. And that's the thing that I'm really trying to allow individuals to see. There are ways to do this and not sort of rely on that if we do the proper preventative things. I love when parents or moms breastfeed their kids. That the immunity that's going to come from that is going to be tremendous. But then also, what's going to happen as the child starts to grow. And this is not even sickle cell related, but what happens is we tend to give cereals and grains too fast to our children. because again, the molars are designed to actually grind up food, and the amylase and things of that sort that are designed to help break that stuff down. Most kids don't get into their 18 months or even 2 years old. So we're already messing up the gut yet again. So people are like, well, my kid's always hungry. I keep feeding them enough. So when I feed them enough healthy fats, that's why the breast milk is so important. That's why goat milk is so important. Or if we get a raw goat's milk or a raw cow's milk, that's gonna be so much more fatty for them. Or try avocado, or try putting coconut oil or olive oil inside of the food, and you'll see the thriving of the microbiome. You see the thriving of the actual brain as well. And more than likely, it won't be any crisis because you're getting all the nutrients they actually need.
Absolutely. I prepared this last question that you kind of answered already, because you had this really empowering post that you noted that sickle cell disease is not a death sentence. So, but I think that's throughout this live, we kind of talked about it already. Is there anything you would like to add?
The first thing I'll say, and I said it previously, is when we hear diagnosis, let's not, let's obviously let's pray over it, but also more so, let's not hear one opinion. Let's not only, think that, okay, my child's going to die in their 20s or early 30s. They can't have kids. Listen, I said it before, I have lawyers that are sickle cell SS that have 2 or 3 kids. They're thriving and doing beautiful things. And the biggest thing for me is to understand the basic 4 things you have to do to thrive. One, of course, is sleep. 2, proper nutrition. 3, stress management. 4, move your body in some sort of way. Some sort of way. Because the other thing with sickle cell disease, everyone's like, okay, well, I start stretching, I went into a crisis. I'm like, that's highly likely that you went into a crisis. You felt some sort of pain because you're not used to stretching. So make sure that you're hydrated, you do all the things proper, and then that way you're going to be able to accept that. But slow and steady movements. Like me personally, I in my garage, in my building, I park on the 4th or 5th floor, and I walk up and down the stairs. My office was on the 4th floor, so I walk up the stairs or down the stairs every morning. So I'm trying to get my movement in every day. Of course, I do my stretching before I go to bed and when I first wake up, and 3 or 4 times a day, I'm stretching. By doing that, you have your micro circulation around your joints and your veins and arteries, as well as your visceral organs are now being stretched out as well. So by doing those basic things, see how your body feels. Keep it
Love
simple.
it. I love it. I love it. I mean, now echo back to, I know we're a little bit over. I have one last question. Just go back to one of the audience said they really want you to be on their side and to be their coach. So how can someone work with you?
Yeah, you can reach out to me at drcharlieware.com, or you can even DM me on IG as well. I think I have several. One of my assistants on here as well. She will take your questions and make sure that you're directed to the right areas. I have programs that I created for sickle cell disease. And I create that because I'm like, I can't treat everyone. Just read the information, go through it, and if you need a consult with me, we can also allow you to have that. But again, I always tell individuals, I keep things so simple that I know people think it's more difficult. I have sickle cell. I'm like, yeah, it is difficult, but let me have the handle the difficult part. Let me give you the simple part. Just do the basic things, and you'll see what actually is happening to the body.
Amazing. Amazing. I love it. We're going to have to invite you back to specifically talk about longevity and then launch more. This is amazing. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us. And thank you everyone for joining and also making such great comments. Thank you.
Thank you so much. It was my pleasure.
Have a good day.
Do the same. Cheers.
Bye.